room of the International BioCare Hospital here in Tijuana, Mexico. And I would like to take the next few minutes to talk to you about some of the experiences that I've had here being treated for cancer at the International BioCare Hospital. And I hope to share with you some insights that I have gained over the years. I am currently finishing my 18th year of being a patient and entering my 19th year of being treated here at the IBC hospital. Before I say anything though, I would like to share some personal information. I was born and raised in Lawrence, Kansas. I'm married, going on 24 years of marriage with my wife, who is from Japan. I have a 21-year-old son who currently lives and works in New York City. And I have a 17-year-old daughter who just recently graduated from high school and, as a matter of fact, finished her first college course in summer school this summer. And so they're my wife and daughter are in Lawrence, Kansas. And so once I finish my treatments here at IBC, I will be returning back there and resuming my life there. I was originally diagnosed with cancer, specifically esthesioneuroblastoma. Some people call it olfactory neuroblastoma, but in any case, it was a tumor that was discovered growing along the olfactory nerve in the left, or rather the upper left paranasal region. And this was diagnosed in around the middle part of October of 1996. As with anybody who is diagnosed with cancer for the first time, I was shocked, I was stunned, and I thought, oh my God, you know, life is not going to be the same. You know, in other words, the day that I was diagnosed, I realized everything was going to change. And change it did. Because I'm educated as an engineer and a scientist, I wanted to read up and learn as much as I could about the cancer that I had. Unfortunately, at that time, because of the rarity of esthesioneuroblastoma, there was not a lot of data that I could find on the internet. And so I had to rely on the doctors that were treating me up in the San Francisco Bay Area at the time, where I was living and working with my family. I went over to the Stanford University Medical School and consulted with some specialists over there, specifically head and neck specialists, and to get their input. And they said that they had dealt with it, not a lot, but they knew procedures of how to deal with it, specifically surgery followed by radiation. I thought about that for a while, and then I went back to the HMO, the Kaiser Permanente HMO, where I had my health insurance at that time, and consulted with the specialists there, and they basically concurred with what the Stanford doctors were saying also. And so we went ahead and scheduled surgery, specifically a procedure called a craniofacial resection, for the early part of December of 1996. Shortly after Thanksgiving of that year, in latter November, I received a call from the hospital, and they told me that the doctors were going to be gone for several weeks, if not for, it actually turned out to be for about 2 months they were going to be gone, and for me to just hold off, and then they would reschedule the surgery at that time. I thought to myself, you know, I don't know how fast or how slow this cancer is growing. I think I'm going to look at you know, some other options if they're available. I did talk to the Stanford doctors, and they said that they could do a procedure that could possibly help salvage my sense of smell. In other words, it would be not quite as intense of a procedure as a craniofacial resection, but nevertheless it would be a very, very intense surgery. And so I was kind of in a pensive mode for the next several days. And finally, one of my office mates at the company that I worked for in Northern California, she approached me and she says, "I know of a place in Tijuana, Mexico that you should talk to." And she gave me the number of the gentleman who at that time was the Chief Information Officer of the International BioCare Hospital. His name was Michael Colbert. And so I got on the phone with Michael, and it was a delightful conversation. He was extremely knowledgeable and was telling me about the cancer treatment protocols that they had going here in Tijuana. And he encouraged me to come down and spend a day, take a look, and talk to some of the doctors and, get their input. And so I went ahead and did that, and I was very, very impressed with what I saw. Now, being an engineer and being a scientist, I had, my normal sense of skepticism, and so, I talked to some of the patients that were here and asked them how things were going, and they were happy. They seemed to be doing well, and they were making progress in their treatments. Some were both men and women. And so I left here with the feeling that, I think that this is a good thing to do. And one of the things that I really liked in talking with the doctors here at International BioCare Hospital was that they never used the word cure. They never said, we are going to guarantee this and that and these outcomes and whatnot. The one thing that they did emphasize was that they would do everything in their power through non-toxic and non-invasive treatments was to get me to a point where my metabolic systems, my endocrinologic functions were stabilized and were normal, because anybody who is diagnosed with cancer, a lot of their internal systems are out of whack, they're out of equilibrium. And what the focus here is, at what the doctors here at IBC focus on, is helping the patient, first of all, overcome any damage that they may have already suffered through chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery that they had previously, helping the patients to overcome those issues and then begin the process of detoxifying the body and stabilizing all of the biological functions so that the immune system can do what it was designed to do, which is to fight disease. And that therein was the argument, and it made perfect logical sense to me to do that and to stave off or to avoid surgery, to avoid chemotherapy, to avoid radiation, if I could possibly do that. So my first experience was the Cancer Crisis Management Program that International BioCare Hospital puts on, and my wife and my then 3-year-old son, we packed up and drove down, and instead of staying on the U.S. side of the border, we decided to rent one of the nice apartments that they have here right next to the hospital and the clinic, and be treated on an outpatient basis. And I stayed here for about 3.5 weeks at that time. And I have to tell you that, it was a very rigorous program. There was a lot of cleansing, a lot of detoxification, but with each blood test and complete blood count on a weekly basis, I could see noticeable improvements. In fact, I was feeling better as I went along. And so part of the central part of my treatment was the EDTA chelation with some other ingredients thrown in to help my own system. And that's one of the points that I really want to emphasize here in this discussion, is that every patient is treated as a unique individual. It is not a one-size-fits-all treatment program here at IBC. Everybody, if you're young all the way to elderly patients, everybody has a unique biochemical signature. And so the treatments that they develop for the patient are targeted towards addressing those unique biochemical features in each patient. Another thing that I want to emphasize also is the doctors here do not focus on the tumor. The doctors focus on the underlying causes, the root causes of the tumor. In other words, they look at the whole patient. They look at the whole person. They look at lifestyle factors. They look at dietary factors. They look at the patient's history of stress. Stress is a major factor in weakening the body's immune system. People that come here with cancer obviously have something wrong with their immune system. It's not functioning properly. And so the doctors help the patient to, in the treatments, with the chelation, the live cell therapy, through minerals, vitamins, supplementation, to help the body to stabilize, and then that in turn fortifies the immune system so that it can begin fighting back against these replicating cells in the body. They also help the patient focus on the spiritual side, in terms of relaxation, meditation, to calm the mind, to calm the mood, to help reduce stress. And then in terms of dietary factors, the kitchen and the cafeteria that they have here in the hospital produces some of the healthiest food, the meals, the breakfasts, the lunches, and the dinners that focus primarily on vegetarian types of diets. And so from that standpoint, it's a very, very healthy experience. As I mentioned earlier, I've completed 18 years. I want to say that ultimately we decided that surgery was the correct thing to do, and I did ultimately elect to do what is called a craniofacial resection at the Kaiser Hospital in Redwood City in July of 1997, roughly about 7 months after I began treatment here at IBC. Now, I did not make that decision without close consultation with the doctors in California, as well as my doctors here at IBC, and that included input from the IBC founder and executive director, Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez. He's a world-renowned leader in the field of integrative medicine. And he looked at the information and the data along with, at that time my doctor was Jose Luis Burgos, and he looked at the data and evidence and things that were happening. And we all decided that it was probably the rational decision was to go ahead and proceed with the surgery, and then followed by 5 weeks of radiation after the surgery. Now, With that said, one of the things that was remarkable was that my recovery period at the hospital in California was, they had allotted about 10 days of recovery. I was allowed to go home within 5 days after the surgery. Okay, now I want to tell you, the surgery was 12 hours. It was a very long day. It was a 12-hour long procedure that required removing the forehead plate and going through the left nose and the right nose and then pushing the brain back and then going down through the top in order to remove all of the tumorous material. Very, very long day. I believe, well, I know that the reason why I recovered as fast as I did was because of the treatments that I'd received here at International BioCare Hospital. The combination of chelation, the live cell therapy, the minerals, the supplementation that they provided me here, those did something to my body's natural healing ability to help me recover and bounce back as fast as I did following the surgery. And after the surgery, I waited for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then came back again for 2 or 3 days here at IBC to do some more boosting, some more treatments. And then after that, I began 5 weeks of radiation at the Alta Bates Hospital in Berkeley, California. And they zapped me from the left and right here in the front in order to kill off any residual cancer cells in that region. Again, after the radiation was finished, because it really made me very, very tired, I came back to IBC and spent about another week after that and did some more boosting, and that pumped me back up and helped me to bounce back very, very quickly after the radiation. Now, the reason why I say that, well, the reason why I'm telling you this is because let's say you are diagnosed with cancer and you're in a medical facility where the doctors are trained in Western medicine, standard allopathy, and they're going to recommend maybe some combination of surgery, chemotherapy, or radiation, or all three. If there's any way that I could persuade you that before you make the decision to go down that path, and it may make sense to go down that path at some point, but before you do that, if there's any way that I could persuade you to come to the International BioCare Hospital and let the doctors look at you here and propose a treatment program here that is non-toxic, non-invasive, that will help to stabilize your biological systems, your metabolism, your endocrinology, everything before undergoing surgery or radiation or chemotherapy, that would be wonderful, because one of the greatest challenges that the doctors here at IBC have is dealing with primarily patients from the United States and in some cases from Europe and other parts of the world. The patient has already been radiated. They've already undergone several sessions of chemotherapy. They may have been have undergone surgery. Those have put enormous stress on the body, and so the initial challenge then for the doctors at IBC is to overcome the damage that has been done in order to get the body stabilized. If there's any way that that can be avoided up front, so much the better. Do the treatments at IBC always work? In an answer, no. Nothing is perfect. None of the treatments for cancer and other degenerative diseases the treatment protocols and modalities offered in the United States, some work, some don't work. Well, the same thing happens here. It's not always going to work, okay? And this is one of the things that I also want to emphasize, is that there is no such thing as a magic silver bullet. I know that in America we have this issue in our culture. It's called instant gratification. We want results, and we wanted them yesterday. Well, when you're dealing with degenerative disease such as cancer, it's a process. You have to work with it. You have to find that combination of alternative treatments, as well as maybe some treatments in the allopathic world, and put those together in a package that is unique and individualized to you. But I can assure you that here at IBC, by the time that you finish, say, the Cancer Crisis Management Program, your body is going to be in so much better condition and shape. Your biological systems are going to be stabilized. Your endocrinology is going to be equilibrated. You're going to have a new equilibrium, and then you're going to be in condition then that should the need arise for chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, you're going to be in a much, much better position to handle that than if you hadn't come here and received the treatments here. So with that said, that has been my experience. I continue to come back. I must also say, not only am I dealing with the olfactory neuroblastoma, but about 10 years ago, I was also diagnosed with prostate cancer. I have also undergone a radical prostatectomy, and then I had what is called recurrent prostate cancer. And again, I am working with specialists, urologists at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. I have an oncologist that I work closely with in my hometown in Lawrence, Kansas. And I also have my doctors here at the International BioCare Hospital. And I'm right in the middle of it, and I'm like the traffic cop. And I'm coordinating all of these things and getting the communication channels and the protocols going so that we're all working as a team in order to keep me moving forward. At the end of the day, what matters most to me is being able to get out of bed in the morning, face the day, and say, it's a great day, and have just an utterly fabulous, good quality of life. I have friends, my family, they've all been very, very supportive, and that's a very, very key ingredient. You know, the people, your loved ones, they have to be in this with you. And I can also assure you that here at the IBC hospital, the people, everybody, the drivers, the front office, the doctors, the nurses, the people in the kitchen, the people that maintain the hospital, they are all on your side. They all want you to get better. They all want you to have as good a quality of life as you possibly can. Because at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to, is how do you feel? Do you feel good? Do you feel like working? Do you feel, you know, if you don't have your health, nothing else matters. And again, that is what the focus is here at IBC, is doing everything possible to help each patient get as optimally healthy as they possibly can, and doing it in a non-toxic, non-invasive way. So with that said, I wish you all the very best, all the best of luck, and please, please consider IBC as the centerpiece of your program for optimal health and wellness. Thank you very much. God bless and good luck.